chiropractic at the Rock Health and Wellness Center, and this is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC. And I think we got our microphone turned on tonight, so you guys on the radio don't have to just have a moment of silence before we get the show started. All you guys out there in social media land, I hope you had a great day. All you guys on the radio, I hope you guys had a great day. It's Wednesday, April 3rd. We're just rocking Wednesday. Beautiful day in Lubbock, Texas. Blue skies, green grass is coming in. We've got little buds on the flowers out there. It's beautiful. Low wind. Couldn't ask for a more beautiful day, I don't think. Same thing inside our office. We've had a fantastic day working on people. Been at it since 7:30 this morning, and just a great day. Great day at the Rock. Hope you guys have a great day. Hey, we got a good show last night. I think we've had two pretty good shows this week. We took health to church on Monday and got our Easter sermon all broken down, and I thought that was pretty good. And then last night we started talking about the immune system. We started talking about An Elegant Defense, the book, An Elegant Defense, that we were talking about. And then I told you I was going to get to The Body by Bill Bryson, and I didn't get to it. So I think because I really want to carry some of that stuff from an immune system standpoint. I want to carry it over. And Bill Bryson does a great job of kind of explaining it to us in very simple terms, way better than I do, I think, a lot of times. And so that's what I want to carry on tonight, is just some of those ideas of the immune system. And I'm sure as we get into this and it starts and we start breaking it down, what we're going to see is that it stacks on top of each other again, right? Goes back to those same things. So I hope you guys, if you're listening to us on the radio, I hope you're out. I hope you have Live 365 app on your phone. And I hope you're out with your headphones with one headphone on, not two, just one headphone, probably in your left ear. That would be best. Put that headphone in your left ear, and then you can go for a walk. You can get outside. You're probably done with supper about now, and if not, you're about ready to be. And you can get outside and go for a walk. You guys on social media, you're watching this right now, so you can listen to us while you're walking. And then if we say something that you need to look at, then it'd be good. But man, what a great evening to go for a walk. That's the second best thing, in my opinion, that you could do for your brain. Number one is to be social. Number two is to go for a walk. And then get your eyes up. Get your eyes up. Get your eyes up. I spend all my day trying to get people to get their eyes up. They come into my office with their cell phones. It's the craziest thing ever. I should put a big old sign up in the flower bed outside. I know I've said I was going to do that. It's like, leave your phone in your car. It's okay. It's okay to just leave your phone. You don't have to bring this dude everywhere you go, right? You don't have to be looking at it all the time and wondering what's going on out there. You can actually live a few minutes. You guys remember back in the 80s, in the early 90s? You remember how we just lived without a phone? Like, it was so, it was so awesome. We just lived. We were able to just like do stuff. It's hard to explain to these youngsters, but we did. So we're going to get into it. We're going to get into The Body. I hope you guys stick around with us. First, I want to talk about our supplement of the day. You guys may have heard of this one. This is called inositol. And inositol is pretty cool. It's if you guys have diabetes, sugar handling problems, cholesterol type problems, there's a lot of things that you can do with inositol. So it's I'll just read it. My new book doesn't give me as much information, but it's involved in nervous system function and supports lipid metabolism, important for cardiovascular health. So indications: diabetes, diabetes mellitus, related circulatory disorders, muscular and nerve pain and degeneration, ADD, ADHD, OCD, seasonal affective disorder, anything that's going on. Except it helps with choline. It's with choline, and you get acetylcholine, and that's one of the neurotransmitters that your brain uses. So if you're low in choline, you're not getting a lot of information. So I'll read this little commentary by John Courtney. Inositol is one of the B vitamin complex. It's really B8. And they quit calling it a B vitamin because your body makes it. And so it's not essential, right? And so it's closely related to choline. Choline takes fat out of the liver and out of the vascular system as well. Inositol has similar effects. Inositol works with choline in phospholipid formation in the liver. Inositol is closely tied in with diabetes. A diabetic not only has poor sugar metabolism, but poor fat metabolism as well. So cholesterol starts to accumulate in the system. This is why diabetics often develop gangrene. Their extremities become congested with cholesterol, and this impairs their circulation. If the tissue dies due to lack of circulation, it is known as gangrene. We've talked about that a bunch, right? We've talked about that tissue dying because of the lack of circulation, and the lack of circulation as a secondary effect to having too much blood sugar. And having too much blood sugar, not only can you can get some cholesterol problems in the liver that might clog up some of your arteries, but you also get that swelling of those small blood vessels. Remember, and that swelling because those blood vessels are sucking that glucose in and swelling up on you, and that's causing the clogging up of your blood vessels, and you're not getting the oxygen to the tissue. And that's what it's saying right here. If the tissue died due to lack of circulation, it's known as gangrene. So inositol is a lipotropic factor in which the diabetic is deficient. Use this guideline to differentiate between inositol and choline. Give inositol to assist with fat metabolism in cases of diabetes, and choline otherwise. Inositol is a close relative of sugar. I think it's a sugar alcohol, actually. And so I suspect that in people with diabetes, the blood grabs sugar, hoping it's inositol, but then it cannot use it. In fact, if you take some inositol tablets, they taste really sweet. Choline tablets taste really sour. They're related together in their function. And someone that's, it's very abundant in the brain, and it has, if you're dealing with a lot of ADD or ADHD or depression or OCD, it can help. It can also help balance and restore the FSH and LH ratio, and help regulate the menstrual cycle. It's used a lot with patients with PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. So if you're dealing with some of that stuff and you guys don't know about inositol, you may very well know about it. But just in case you don't, just thought I would share it with you. It's something that can help you with your blood sugar, can help you with your brain, it can help you with anxiety and depression. If you're not getting it, if you're not making it enough of it, and you're not getting enough of it, then that's something that you might consider as a supplement. So, inositol, standard process. Standard process, I had a patient asking me today because we were talking about the cleanse. Today's day 10 of the cleanse. So it's going great. Been fabulous. Been doing great with it. Shake for breakfast, shake for lunch, a few pills throughout the day, have vegetables for dinner. So it's been 10 days now. Haven't had any caffeine, which I haven't. The iced tea was all I was having with the caffeine. I'd quit my coffee before. And, sometimes when I mention this stuff to you because it's called life, and I'm just trying to share my life with you, that you can live completely different. I was thinking about that today. I don't want to get too far off on this tangent, but I do want to. I was having a conversation this morning with one of my patients about. She works in the medical field, and she was mentioning to one of the occupational therapists or physical therapists or something that she was working with, and she was saying that, talking about coming to the chiropractor, and the girl was like, "You go to a chiropractor?" And she was like, "Yes, I do." And she's like, "I've been for a long time, and it's been great." And she said, "Well, I really want to go. I just won't tell anybody around here," meaning at the school, at the hospital, or wherever she was at. And I really got to thinking about that. And I was like, I don't understand. And I mentioned it to my patient. I said, I don't really understand what the problem is between chiropractors and physical therapists or occupational therapists or anything else. And so we had a discussion about it, about the different ways that you handle things. And she said, "You know me." She said, "I'm obviously, in both worlds, and I'm fully vaccinated, and I do all the stuff from that side that I feel like is helpful, and I come get adjusted, and like I try to use the best of both worlds, and if that's the way you feel about it, then I think that works for you. That I mean, it's like just because I disagree with some of those ways of doing things doesn't mean I'm right about it. We'll find out down the road, right? I mean, whether or not it worked out or it didn't work out. But it is okay to go ahead and be healthy, and you don't have to. Sometimes when you're dealing with like PCOS or depression and anxiety or whatever, you you just kind of tend to go in a direction that is the medical model of things, right? That's kind of what we're taught to do. Go to your doctor, but it's also there's also ways that you could do. There may be some other ways that you might be able to handle your health, and from a health and wellness standpoint, like that you just be healthy. And we talked about my lady from Littlefield last night that is 84 years old and bought a tiller. Yeah, I mean, how many people do that, right? Because she wanted her garden, and she takes zero pharmaceuticals, right? Well, when this conversation happened this morning, it's like, look, I particularly don't know how to do occupational therapy. I don't know the things that those people do. I don't know all the things that they do in physical therapy. Some of those guys are super brilliant and do great work, right? And like I wouldn't even know where to start on some of that stuff. Some of the stuff I do know a little bit about, but some of it I don't. But whether I know about it or I don't know about it really shouldn't create any sort of negative energy between the two of us, and we shouldn't talk trash. Everything that we do tries to have some sort of scientific basis to the whole thing, or we're trying to um, do the best we can with health. And so I don't really know why I started in on that story, but I just was thinking about it today. About it, it doesn't have to be. It's okay. I guess what I was telling you about the cleanse, right? I think that's what made me say that. I kind of lost my train of thought there, but like you don't need caffeine, right? You don't have to live off caffeine. You can actually live off of way less calories than you think, and you can eat vegetables without meat. Who knew that, right? Like I was like, whoa! Like, and it's 10 days now. It's 10 days without like. Oh, I remember what made me say that. I was talking with the tea and the coffee, right? And the tea and the coffee is like you don't have to. I say that sometimes, and I talk about wellness to some people, and it freaks them out because they can't imagine not living with their coffee. That's kind of what I was trying to say. They can't imagine what happens if they can't live without their coffee in the morning. And that's part of what I was talking about on Monday night is we are so used to we're so used to living a certain way that we've gotten so used to the normal being down here that we can't even imagine what it's like to live on the other side of it. And I just want to share with you this information that you don't need that stuff. And some of you are already on that. Like some of you are control it yourselves, but it adds up. So let's tie this together. Let's tie this inositol that you can get to help you with the sugar. And why would it help someone that has polycystic ovarian syndrome, PCOS? Why would it help someone with that? Why would it help someone with menstrual cramps or the irregular menstrual cycles? Why would it help? And the same exact thing would be it also helps people with ADD or ADHD or OCD. It helps all of those different things. Why? How does it help all of those things? And why do we have those things? Why would someone get PCOS or irregular menstrual cycles? Or why would they have some need for anxiety or depression medication, right? In our world, it's because they're not eating right, thinking right, moving right. They don't get enough sleep. and they have some sort of subluxation problem or interference in their nervous system. And that's what it comes down to, is you don't have the right nutrients in your body. If you don't have the right nutrients in your body's not going to function. Fuel and activation. Remember what we talked about. So anyway, that's my story. That's what I don't want to get. I was kind of crazy on that one, but inositol. If you need some of it, you can get it from us. And if you want to talk about it, you can talk about it. Give me a call. I'd be glad to talk about it with you. It's going to help you with lots of different areas if you're deficient in it. And you can get it at therock.standardprocess.com, or you can call my office. You can get it from us here, or you can get it from lots of different places. So get it on Amazon as far as that goes. Just trying to share it with you in case you don't know. So that's the supplement of the day. I'll set it right here on my favorite supplement, the omega-6-3 ratio changing fish oil. Yes. Okay, so enough of that. I want to clarify something I said last night, because I was talking about the Robert Sapolsky article, and at the same time we were going through elegant defense, and it said something about Robert Sapolsky obviously is talking about evolution. This is obviously talking, there were some statements made about evolution, and sometimes some people, if you just use that word, it makes them uncomfortable. Okay, so if you're one of those people that is gets uncomfortable with the word evolution, we could have a long conversation about that. We could have a long conversation about the whole entire planet, how it works. Do I think there's a God? Yes. Am I a Christian? Yes. Do I believe in Jesus? Yes. Do I reference the Bible? Do I have a show on Monday called Take Health to Church? Yes. I don't think it's a question about my belief system, but I've got to be able to look and study. I've got to be able to look at nature. I've got to be able to look at the globe. I've got to be able to hear thoughts that piece things together for me so that I can be the best doctor possible. And a lot of the things that I get pieced together come from people who are evolutionists. And it doesn't make what they're saying wrong. It doesn't mean that God didn't say, all right, we're going to do it this way and we're going to do it that way. And then what they call evolution really was creation. So just for you guys out there, just wanted to make that point. And I'm not, I use that. I'm not scared of that word. I'm not scared that it's going to change my faith or whatever. I'm not saying that we walked out of the ocean and all that stuff. Some people believe that, just like some people believe to get vaccinated, and some people believe to take fish oil and inositol. So people believe different things. We're just trying to study and learn and see if we can get as much information to you as possible. And so it kind of checks me every time I say it, because I know that there's some of you out there. I know you're out there, and I know that you'll respond to some of those sentences with a little bit of hesitation if we use that word. So just everything's good. Okay. So let's get to the immune system. Let's talk about From the Body by Bill Bryson. You guys, we've gone over several chapters in this book, and I want to talk about the immune system some more. Why do people get sick? Why do people get cancer? Is cancer part of the immune system? Could you possibly get cancer from having a low immune system? Maybe you can. Maybe the immune system is not functioning properly. Maybe the immune system is not able to recognize. Thanks. Sorry about that. There was a patient I thought had a broken hip, so I was just checking on the. Just checking. It's not broken, so that's good. But there's a lot of things that goes on with the immune system, and Bill Bryson in his book, The Body, he breaks that down pretty good. So we're just going to go through a few of these pages, and I know it's kind of unusual to have a show where you're just reading a book to somebody, but some people say things better than I do. So we're talking about The Body by Bill Bryson. We're talking about the chapter 12, the immune system, right here. And the immune system is a big kind of messy and all over the place. It includes lots of things that we don't usually think of in context of immunity, like earwax, skin, and tears. Wow, think about that. Like, one of the things is mouthwash. I don't really know. I probably could pull up some articles or something on mouthwash. I don't think mouthwash is a good idea personally. Um, um, I think that you kill a lot of germs in your mouth that are supposed to be in your mouth. I'm not really sure that it's necessary to Listerine your mouth and kill all those germs. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but I don't think so personally. Another thing I don't think is necessarily a fabulous idea for you is sunglasses. A lot of people can't even go outside without sunglasses, but it just reminded me that I don't know why earwax, skin, and tears reminded me of sunglasses, but it did. It just reminded me that, hey, we were made to be outside in the sun. So sometimes when we block those rays in our eyes, I think it might change the way that our eye receives light and has a different effect on our brain because of the way that our eye receives light. So you can take that if you're a big sunglasses fan. Maybe you ought to get a few minutes every day of sunlight out there without your sunglasses on. Any invader that gets past these outer defenses, and comparatively few do, will quickly run into swarms of, quote, proper immune cells in which come pouring out of lymph nodes, bone marrow, and spleen, the thymus, and other corners of the body. There is a lot of chemistry involved. If you want to understand the immune system, you need to understand antibodies, lymphocytes, cytokines, chemokines, histamine, neutrophils, B cells, T cells, natural killer cells, macrophages, phagocytes, granulocytes, basophils, interferons, prostaglandins, um, pluripotent hemopoietic stem cells, and a great deal more, and I mean a great deal more. Um, that's a lot of cells that are involved in your immune system. And it takes a proper environment inside our bodies to keep our immune system functioning well, right? It takes low levels of insulin. It takes low levels of stress. We talked about that last night in the defense book, the Elegant Defense book, about how students in medical school, how their immune systems drop dramatically at midterm and final exams, right? So we want to make sure that we keep that environment as healthy as possible when we're going through there. Some of these overlap and some of these do multiple jobs. Interleukin-1, for instance, not only attacks pathogens, but also plays a role in sleep, which may go some way to explaining why we are so often drowsy when unwell. Interesting, right? By one calculation, we may have some 300 different types of immune cells at work within us. But Daniel Davis, professor of immunology at the University of Manchester in England, thinks the number is essentially incalculable. A dendritic cell in the skin will be quite different from one in the lymph node, say, and so it all goes quite muddled to define specific types. On top of all that, every person's immune system is unique, making immune system harder to generalize, harder to understand, and harder to treat when they go wrong. Moreover, the immune system doesn't just deal with germs, it has to respond to toxins, drugs, cancers, foreign objects, and even your own state of mind. Yeah, so that's another way of saying the same thing we've been saying, and what we were trying to say last night is that your immune system has to deal with toxins. What's a toxin? It's really defined as anything that increases free radicals. And so we can get toxins from lots and lots of different sources, and we can cause lots of disruption inside our body when we're having when we get an increase of toxins. But drugs, those drugs are not free. They're not free to your immune system. Acetaminophen's not free to your immune system. Ibuprofen's not free to your immune system. Proton pump inhibitors are not free to your immune system. All those things. It's not just cocaine and alcohol. It's all of them. Cancers, foreign objects, obviously. You stick a nail through your foot, you're going to have to deal with it. With your immune system is going to have to deal with it. And your own state of mind. And that gets, there's such a vast amount of information right there your mind state, your current brain state, your state of mind in your environment. Have you got? Do you have your needs met? Are you getting the things that you need to make it through the day? Are you super stressed out about something? Your state of mind is really big. And remember that when we talked about with our Dr. Zucker, with glucose receptors in the intestine, feeding back through the vagus nerve into the brain, telling your brain that you have glucose in your gut. So there's a gut-brain connection, which means state of mind is related to what's in your gut. There's no question about that whatsoever. What is in your gut is going to have an influence on your state of mind, which is going to have an influence on your immune system. And those things all tie back together, right? So if you're going to eat something that's not good for you, then you're probably going to create a mindset that's not good for you, which you're probably going to create a weakened immune system at the same time. We got to go through a break. You guys hang on. We'll be right back right after these messages. This is Life with Jason Clemmons, DC, right here on 98.7 Walk by Faith Radio. So the healthier you get in your gut, the healthier you get in your brain, the healthier your body gets. So refined carbohydrates, when we say that, right? Because I say that a lot. I'll say that, hey, you got to get off sugar, right? That's really not a very good thing to say to a lot of people because you don't realize what I'm talking about, how your blood sugar goes up and your insulin levels go up with refined carbohydrates, which means you can have a sandwich for lunch. You can have soup in a sandwich, and you can end up with high blood sugar. Because if you got any of that white bread, you're going to get high blood sugar. If you're eating potato soup, you're going to get high blood sugar. So the food that we're eating and the how we're putting that in our gut is having a lot to do with our brain state. So the more that the microbiome, we've talked about that. There's a whole chapter in one of these books. I think The Elegant Defense, probably in this book as well, about the microbiome, all the little bacteria inside the gut and how that's affecting our brain state. So if we want a better immune system, then we want to make sure that we have better food, right? So just think about what you ate today, right? Typically, what have you had today? I don't count because I'm on a cleanse. I've had 2 shakes and an apple. That's what that's what I've had today. But I'm gonna eat some supper when I get home. I can guarantee you that it's all going to be all vegetables. This is our last night of vegetables. But if you had coffee and a donut for breakfast, or you had a bowl of cereal for breakfast, and you started off with refined carbohydrates, and then you had refined carbohydrates about 10 o'clock, or you went to lunch and had refined carbohydrates, and then you're sitting there eating supper tonight and or you just finished supper and you're having refined carbohydrates, you're changing your gut microbiome, you're changing the intestine, the bacteria in your intestine, you're changing the information to your brain, you're changing your brain state. Okay, everybody, we're back. This is Jason Clemmons. We're breaking down the book. We're using The Body by Bill Bryson tonight. We're not breaking it down. We're just using it to talk about the immune system. So it responds to toxins, drug, cancers, foreign objects, and even your own state of mind. If you are stressed or exhausted, you are more likely to suffer from an infection. For instance, because protecting us from invasion is such a limitless challenge, the immune system sometimes makes mistakes and launches an attack on innocent cells. Don't believe that statement. I don't believe that sentence one bit. I don't believe that the immune system, it says right here, because protecting us from invasion is such a limitless challenge, the immune system sometimes makes mistakes and launches an attack on innocent cells. I don't think so. And I might be proven wrong, but in my world, I don't think your immune system makes a mistake and attacks an innocent cell. I think that immune system attacked that cell on purpose. I don't think it was a mistake. I think there was something that was telling the immune system to attack that cell, because I believe in innate intelligence. So if I believe in innate intelligence, I believe that there's a spirit that runs my body. There goes my evolution, right? Comes right back to that whole, that that spirit that runs my body, and that spirit is the spirit that created the entire universe. That's what I believe. And so I really think that you can't break those things apart. And so I don't believe that your autoimmunity is happening for a reason. Your body's not making a mistake. It's doing what you're telling it to do somehow. Maybe you don't know how you're telling it to do it. Maybe you don't know why you're telling it to do it, but it's not a mistake. So I just disagree with that sentence. Given the number of inspections immune cells make day after day, the error rate is really low. It is a great irony, nonetheless, that a very high proportion of the suffering we do is inflicted on us by our own defenses in the form of autoimmune diseases like multiple sclerosis, lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, Crohn's disease, and many appalling others. Okay, Crohn's disease, exactly. The reason I disagree with that whole paragraph right there, I disagree with it, is because we went through Jordan Rubin's The Maker's Diet, right? I don't think I have it up here. Oh, no, nope, I don't have it up here. But and we talked about that. And we talked about the two different pictures, right? We talked about Jordan Rubin with Crohn's disease, and we talked about Jordan Rubin without Crohn's disease. So what you're saying to me is that the environment he had his body in that was causing his body to create Crohn's disease was an autoimmune disease where his immune system was making a mistake until he got his gut microbiome fixed by eating a bunch of dirt, basically. And then he changed his microbiome, and then all of a sudden, his immune system stopped attacking itself, and he was able to fix his microbiome, and he was able to fix his gut, and then he was able to get rid of his Crohn's disease. So did he have Crohn's disease or did he not? Did he have Crohn's disease or did he have an abnormal environment for his body? If you put the cell in an environment that's incongruent with health, the cell will express a symptom to give you some sort of feedback to tell you that you have your body in an environment that's incongruent with health. If you put the cell in an environment that's congruent with health, it expresses health. That's what it's made to do. If you put the immune system in an environment that's congruent with health, it's not going to attack your body. Multiple sclerosis and lupus and rheumatoid arthritis, something's going on there. Something's going on and the body's not in the proper environment, so you got to get the cells in the proper environment, and that might mean that you don't have enough vitamin D. My multiple sclerosis people, all of them, we talked about that in our other book about what's our doc's name that changed that completely reversed her multiple sclerosis, or at least dampened it completely or majorly. Right? I'll think of that in a second. Altogether, about 5% of us suffer from some form of autoimmune disease, a very high proportion for such an uncomfortable range of afflictions, and the number are growing faster than our abilities to treat them effectively. Why are the numbers growing faster? That's the question that I would ask. All of us, immune systems are getting weaker. The body is attacking itself more. The environment we're putting ourselves in is less congruent with health. So now we're going to get an increased amount of autoimmune disease. And so many of us just want to jump to that right into that autoimmune is like, well, I got an autoimmune disease. I got Hashimoto's, and I got an autoimmune disease. My immune system is attacking my thyroid gland for some reason. I guess I'll just grab onto that Hashimoto's disease diagnosis, and I'll just run with it because I'm sure that's what it is. My body's making a mistake. It's not going to be the fact that I won't get any sleep. It's not going to be the fact that I'm eating bad food. It's not going to be the fact that I won't get any exercise. None of those things matter, right? Yeah, that's not true. I think when we talk through it, I think we know it. I think we know that some of those things are true. So if you could look at it and conclude that it's crazy that the immune system attacks itself, says Davis. Alternatively, once you start to think about all that the immune system has to do, it's surprising that it doesn't happen all the time. Your immune system is constantly bombarded with things it has never seen before, things that may have only come into existence, like new viruses. Let me read that again. I lost my spot. Your immune system is constantly bombarded by things it has never seen before, things that may have only come into existence, like new viruses, which are constantly mutating into new forms. So your immune system has to be able to identify and fight off more or less infinite numbers of things. And that's a quote from the Dr. Davis that we were. Let me see where he was from. University of Manchester in England, right? Okay, these guys are talking about something in their world that they believe in because they studied it and it felt it, and they studied it in an environment where you learn about autoimmune diseases and the body attacks itself, and of course it does. You know, as much as the things that the body has to do, you figure it would happen more often, right? Except in my world, the immune system is created by, run by the innate intelligence, which is the spirit of the universe, which created all the things in the universe and everywhere else. And for some reason, my daily activities are just too much responsibility for my cells, right? No, I mean, come on. Like, now it took me 11 days to get over COVID because those suckers made that dude in that lab, right? You know dang well they did by now. We've been saying it since the beginning. So what did my immune system have to do? My immune system had to recognize something that was made up in a lab that has mutated multiple times. Now all of a sudden my immune system has never seen it before. That's what gain of function is all about. So it took me 11 days to get over it. I wasn't, and some of you guys, it took way faster because you took ivermectin or you took hydroxychloroquine or whatever, or you didn't have any problems with it at all. Fabulous, fabulous. I wasn't worried about it, but I did enjoy the process of the 11 days. I enjoyed going through the process and letting my immune system see it. It's like, all right, what in the heck is this? And now try to figure out how to deal with it and see what it's going to do with it. And then do what it's going to do with it. And let's get the fight on and let's get it over with and move along, right? And that's what happened. So Davis is a big but gentle man in his 40s and a booming laugh and the happy air of someone who has found his niche in life. He studied physics at Manchester and another university in Britain, but then moved to Harvard in the mid-1990s and decided that biology was where his real interest lay. By chance, he ended up in the immunology lab at Harvard and became gripped by the elegant complexity of the immune system and the challenges of trying to unravel it all. Despite the intricacies at the molecular level, all parts of the immune system contribute to a single task: to identify anything that is in the body that shouldn't be there and, if necessary, kill it. So that's what your immune system is trying to do. It's trying to identify something that's in the body that shouldn't be there. How many of us have been taught that throwing up is bad? If your child is throwing up, is your child sick or is your child healthy? Here we go. Here we go again with another crazy question or something that I'm talking about, right? Is it a healthy response to throw up? In my world, yes. It's a healthy response to throw up. Why? Because you have something inside of yourself that your immune system doesn't want inside of you. And there's only two ways that your immune system is going to get that out of you. It's either going to create diarrhea or it's going to make you throw up. It's going to say, no, 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 no. You cannot pass. You're in the stomach. Maybe you've gotten into the intestine. Nope, you're not going any further down. You are going out the top. And that's what your body's, that is an immune system response. How about an allergy? How about allergies where we get really watery eyes and itchy eyes and sneezing all the time, right? What are we going to go take? You're going to go take an antihistamine, right? We're going to quit sneezing. We're going to go take something that's going to cause us to quit sneezing. or quit with all this, the runny nose and all this stuff, right? Does it make any sense if you believe in innate intelligence to stop your nose from running? What is your nose running for in the first place? Your nose is running because your immune system has recognized something that's inside your body that it's trying to get out, right? We're not giving our immune system enough credit, and we're not understanding the intelligence of the universe, and we're going to take an antihistamine because we can't stand it. But we're not going to consider that maybe we've got our body in an environment that's incongruent with health, right? But the process is far from straightforward. A lot of things inside you are harmless or even beneficial, and it would be foolhardy or a waste of energy and resources to kill them. So the immune system has to be a bit like security people at airports, watching stuff on a conveyor belt and only challenging those things that have nefarious intent. At the heart of the system are 5 types of white blood cells: lymphocytes, monocytes, basophils, neutrophils, and eosinophils. They are all important, but lymphocytes are the ones that excite immunologists the most. David Brainbridge calls lymphocytes just about the cleverest little cells in the whole body because of their ability to recognize almost any kind of unwanted invader and mobilize a swift and targeted response. Lymphocytes are 2 principal types: B cells and T cells. The B cells, the B in B cells comes a little oddly from bursa of fabricus, I can't say it, an appendix-like organ in birds where B cells were first seen. Humans and others, and it's got a whole article down here. An Italian anatomist who thought it was connected to the production of eggs. He was wrong, but his actual purpose remained a mystery until 1955 when it was solved by a happy accident. Bruce Glick, then a graduate student at Ohio State University, removed bursas from chickens to see what effect it had on them in the hope of solving the mystery. But the removals had no discernible effect, so he gave up on the problem. The chickens were then passed on to another student, Tony Chang, who was studying antibodies. Chang discovered that the birds without bursas produced no antibodies. The 2 young researchers realized that bursas of fabricus, however you say that, was responsible for antibody production, a really big discovery in immunology. They submitted a paper to the Journal of Science, but it was returned as uninteresting. Eventually, they got it published in Poultry Science, and it has since become one of the most cited papers in immunology. Whatever. My tongue sometimes doesn't work. According to the British Society of Immunology, bursa incidentally comes from the Latin term for bag or purse and can be described in various structures. So there you go. The B cells comes from the bursa cells from birds. I bet you didn't learn that today in your daily information that gathering task, right? So humans and other mammals don't have bursa of Fabricius. Our B cells are made in bone marrow, but it is entirely coincidental that it starts with a B too. T cells are more faithful in their source. Though created in the bone marrow, they emerge from the thymus, a small organ in the chest just above the heart and between the lungs. For a very long time, the role of the thymus in the body was completely a mystery because it seemed to be just full of dead immune cells, the place where cells went to die. But Davis put it in his superlative book, The Compatibility Gene. In 1961, Jacques Miller, a young Australian researcher working in London, unraveled a mystery. What Miller established was that the thymus is a nursery for T cells. T cells are a kind of elite core in the immune system, and dead cells found in the thymus were lymphocytes that had failed to pass muster because they were either not very good at identifying and attacking foreign invaders or because they were too eager to attack the body's own healthy cells. They had, in short, failed to make the cut. It was an immensely significant discovery. At the medical journal The Lancet observed it made Miller the last person to identify the function of a human organ. Many people have wondered why he has never won the Nobel Prize. One of the things that I learned a few years back was Splenda messes with the thymus gland. Um, Sucralose, right? The brand name is Splenda, but sucralose actually messes. And I've done some research on that, and I've read some articles about that because one of the things I was at one point taking some Splenda, and I used Splenda instead of, because before I found stevia, I found Splenda, and Splenda was and because I didn't like aspartame equal, and I didn't like sweet and low, and so I was trying to get off of sugar, so I thought I'd use Splenda for a little while. Well, then I started getting sick, and I was like, I don't understand why. I like 4 times in a year I got sick, and I couldn't figure out why I was getting sick. And then I realized, and I started doing studying on Splenda, sucralose, and doing that, I found some articles that talked about how the sucralose affects the thymus gland. And I was like, dude, I don't know why I was doing it in the first place. I was just in that 30-year wandering in the wilderness of ignorance. But just so you know that. So you guys, I see it all the time at Starbucks. You go get, I used to see it. I don't see it as much anymore. But I used to see it. You go to Starbucks and I see people filling up their coffee with Splenda. I ask patients on their new patient intake, hey, like, what are you drinking in a day? And they'll put water, coffee, tea, and I'll ask them, what do you put in your coffee? And I put a little creamer and some Splenda. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good if you want to be healthy. It's great if you don't want to be healthy, but yeah, it messes with your thymus gland. So T cells subdivide into 2 further categories: helper T cells and killer T cells. Killer T cells, as the name suggests, kill cells that have been invaded by pathogens. Helper T cells help other immune cells act, including helping B cells produce more antibodies. Memory T cells remember the details of earlier invaders and are therefore able to coordinate a swift response if the same pathogen shows up again, what is known as adaptive immunity. Memory T cells. Remember the ones that they said that you didn't have when COVID came out? So you had to get vaccinated and you had to get boosted because your body doesn't keep any memory T cells. Hogwash. That's not true. Just like that, we've talked about that lots of times. The show, the 60-minute show, where they were talking about the 1918 Spanish flu, and they went back and they found some survivors of the 1918 Spanish flu, and they took their blood, and they still have memory T cells. They're 90-something years old, and they still have memory T cells. Now, let me tell you that right there. There's an important point. Helper T cells help other immune cells act, including helping B cells produce more antibodies. In your lymph glands, one of the things that you're going to do, and we've talked about this on one of our earlier shows, but your immune system has these little cells called dendritic cells, and they basically run through the middle of the fight when you got these macrophages that are just like trying to get after it, and you got these neutrophils, and you got this fight going on, then the dendritic cell is going to run through the middle of the fight, and it's going to pick up a little piece of that virus or that bacteria, and it's going to take it to your lymph nodes, and that's where your B cells and your T cells is in your lymph system. And so it's going to take it and it's going to show them. It's going to say, hey, look, this is what we're looking for right here. This is a piece of the virus. And then your body is going to make antibodies to that. It's going to make little tags that says, oh, that's what we're looking for right there. Whenever you see this, latch on to it. And then that's going to let your big guns start to come in, your phagocytes and all that sort of thing, come into your immune response. And it's going to see any of those little viruses that have that little tag on them. That's what an antibody is. You're going to have that little tag, and now your immune system is going to attack that. And that's one of the things that what I learned during COVID is, and just so you don't forget this, is that low vitamin D levels slows dendritic cell migration to the lymph node. Let me say it again. Low vitamin D levels slows the dendritic cell migration to the lymph node. It slows down how fast the dendritic cell takes this piece of knowledge to the lymph node so that you can make antibodies, so your T cells and B cells can work. The higher your vitamin D levels, if you've got sufficient vitamin D levels and high vitamin D levels, your immune system works much faster. Those dendritic cells, it's like the battery goes dead on something. If the battery goes dead, then it's like, things start to slow down, right? That's what having low vitamin D levels is like. So that's one of the things that's so important to your immune system is your vitamin D levels, so because it helps you respond to these. Memory T cells are extraordinarily vigilant. I don't get mumps because somewhere inside me are memory T cells that have been protecting me from a second attack for more than 60 years. This is Bill Bryson writing this. When they identify an invader, they instruct B cells to produce proteins known as antibodies, and these attack the invading organism. Antibodies are clever things because they recognize and fight off previous invaders quickly if they dare come back. That's why so many diseases only make you sick once. It is also the process at the heart of vaccination. Vaccination is really a way of inducing the body to produce a useful antibody against a particular scourge without actually making oneself sick. Now, there's a couple of different comments about that, and I'm not going to get into vaccinations tonight, but you do have Th1 response and a Th2 response, and the way that those cells respond depending on how you would actually get that virus. So if I'm going to get the flu, I'm going to get the flu through my nasal and my eyes, those areas around my eyes and my ears and my nose, not so much in my mouth, but especially in my eyes, those areas. So I'm going to present that to my immune system through that way. I'm not going to have it injected into my arm. So when I inject it into my arm, there's a difference between those two responses, the way that your immune system responds. And so there are some conversations about that in the vaccination world. You can talk to your doctor about that if you want to. Microbes have developed various ways of fooling the immune system by sending out confusing chemical signals, for instance, or by disguising themselves as benign or friendly bacteria. Some infectious agents, like E. coli and Salmonella, can trick the immune system into attacking the wrong organs. There is a lot of human pathogens out there, and much of their existence is devoted to evolving new and cunning ways to get inside us. The wonder isn't that we get sick sometimes, but that we are not sick far more often. In addition, we, as well as killing invasive cells, the immune system must endeavor to kill our own cells when they misbehave and when they are turning cancerous. Yeah, so there's a reason that our body will attack itself. Cool stuff. I love reading Bill Bryson's stuff. He's so good at explaining things. He's got so much knowledge, and he makes things very simple. It's not like reading some sort of massive textbook out there. So I hope you guys got something out of that. At least you know where B cells came from or why they're called B cells. And I hope you guys enjoyed that show. I hope you guys have a fantastic evening. That's the end of it. That was Life with Jason Clemmons, DC. And I hope you guys will come back tomorrow night. We'll be back tomorrow night at 6 right here live from the Rock Health and Wellness Center studios. If there's anything I could do to help your life be better, help you be healthier, let us know. We'd love to help you and your family. So you guys have a great evening, and we'll talk to you tomorrow.